Welcome back to Week 1. I'm Bob Caswell, and I will be your guest host for this unit, Unit 5. So now that you've experienced a good overview of SAP Fiori UX, what we're going to do is talk about SAP Rapid Deployment Solutions, and more specifically, SAP Rapid Deployment Solutions for Fiori UX. So let's get started. So what are Rapid Deployment Solutions? Rapid Deployment Solutions, which we're going to call RDS for short, it's implementation methodology and experience that leads to faster deployment, predictable outcomes, and lower cost for on-premise, cloud, or hybrid scenarios. It includes pre-configured software, best practices, and services that deliver 20 to 80% savings in terms of implementation time and cost when you compare it to a traditional deployment approach. So the RDS approach allows companies of all sizes to quickly address specific business needs and adopt the latest innovations from SAP by leveraging proven and tested configuration. There's implementation content and guides included, and really it enables you to be flexible and provides pick and choose scenarios that are optimized for fast time to value and predictable outcomes. Predictable is the key word. That's what we strive for with the RDS packages. And SAP has really invested heavily in RDS packages specifically for the SAP user experience, for UX. And so each UX RDS stands as a foundation for showcasing the benefits of delighting customers and end users through minimizing clutter, increasing productivity, and improving user satisfaction, all the stuff you'd expect from a good user experience. So the reason we're covering this here in the Fiori UX openSAP course as part of Week 1 is because this course itself is largely based on the same approach leveraged by the Fiori UX RDS packages. And so while this course will try to cover as much as possible to get you started with Fiori UX, if you really want to go even deeper, then you should consider downloading the best practices found in the RDS. In each of the RDS packages focused on user experience. These best practices for Fiori UX are available for download by SAP customers with no additional charge. So it's a nice, handy resource that's easy to get to. So as previously mentioned, the package approach, this packaged approach typically delivers 20 to 80% savings in implementation time and cost. That's comparing it to a traditional implementation approach. You can see the comparison here on the slide between the two approaches. Design to order is the more traditional approach, and it includes a lengthy blueprinting phase, and overall has a more open-ended set of requirements in terms of the time required. But comparing it to the assemble to order option, you can see that implementing an SAP solution with SAP Rapid Deployment Solutions, it nearly eliminates the blueprint phase and becomes much more predictable and reliable as an approach used successfully. And I should say this approach has been used successfully internally and externally by initial customers and SAP here in our own labs. So what we're doing is bottling up the best practices that we've determined and sharing those for you to enjoy. So why the need for rapid deployment solutions for UX? Isn't UX a beautiful customer-facing look and feel? Yeah, it is. As you've already learned and heard in previous units, Fiori is a new approach to user experience that really does focus on the end user first. And of course, while the experience itself is quite delightful, it's coherent, it's simple, that doesn't necessarily mean that's how it comes across at first when you as an IT professional or developer are the one that has to unbox and unpack the necessary components to get it up and running so that it can get to that end state where it's easily consumed by the end user. So I like to think of it as a piece of furniture that you see on the showroom floor when you go shopping. And it looks great in its environment. That's how you want it to look when you go home. But then when you get home with the boxes, you find that you have a lot of work to do to get it to look exactly as you saw it in the showroom, on the showroom floor, looking nice in your living room. So that's where RDS steps in. I'll break form from the analogy now. It's the methodology and a prescriptive set of guidelines and instructions to get you to that end state for the end users. So it really helps you as an IT pro or developer get Fiori ready for those end users. So what do we have available? How have we sliced and diced? How have we positioned user experience rapid deployment solutions? Perhaps the best way to fully understand each of these Fiori-based packages is to see them compared side by side. Now, we're not going to go through all the details covered on this slide, but it's here provided for your reference, and I'll provide links later for where you can get even more details. But the key takeaway is that there are three RDS packages focused explicitly on Fiori. It's a key area for us in the rapid deployment solution world. So the first one is the Fiori Apps RDS. Now, this focuses on deployment and configuration of out-of-the-box Fiori apps, whereas the Fiori Design RDS takes SAP UI5 best practices and shows specific examples for how to create your own custom apps that are following the Fiori paradigm, and it includes some sample apps to get you started for creating your own apps. So that's what you'd go for after you've already deployed the existing apps that SAP makes available. And then finally, we have a third package focused on configuration of Fiori, specifically for the Business Suite powered by SAP HANA scenario. So those new app types that move beyond the transactional use cases. So depending on where you are and what you're trying to accomplish with Fiori, where you are in the life cycle, if you will, these three packages are the best approach for getting started. So how does this fit in to the overall SAP user experience strategy? Now, just by way of quick review, you already saw this in Unit 2. Oh, sorry. Basically, Fiori apps and Fiori infrastructure are in the renew category, which means that SAP has provided apps out of the box for the most common use cases, and these two packages specifically help you get those apps up and running as quickly as possible for those most common use cases. Whereas the Fiori Design RDS is kind of for the long tail of scenarios covered by SAP customers when they customize and create their own back-end integration touchpoints. So that's why we have this third Fiori package, which is really about leveraging the same look and feel that SAP provides out of the box through the other two packages, but giving you guidance for how to create your own custom Fiori designed apps. One more view I wanted to show is how you should go about looking at these packages compared to each other. I like this view because on the x-axis you see required investment, and on the y-axis you see level of improvement, or how much the user experience changes. So the Fiori apps and Fiori infrastructure package are really a lower level of investment, but aren't as big of a change. Perhaps they are a big change from the traditional look and feel of SAP GUI, but in terms of the work required, since you're taking something that SAP has provided out of the box, they don't require as much investment to get that first baseline level of user experience improvement. However, if you want to make it your own and use the Fiori paradigm and the user experience, the Fiori UX, for your own scenarios, that's why the Fiori Design RDS is a little bit higher on both the y-axis and further along on the x-axis, because it requires more investment, but it ends up allowing you to develop and design your own experiences and apps. So with that, I wanted to provide you a slide that has all the links for direct access to each of these Fiori packages, where you'd go to download the best practices included in each. And I wanted to give you a quick demo of how that experience, what it looks like, and how easy it is to get this content up and running. So as you can see here, we have navigated to the page service.sap.com/RDS-user experience. And on this page is a quick overview of much of what I just went through, an overview of what rapid deployment solutions are, the benefits, and then links provided on the page for each of the specific packages. And also in the left-hand navigation, you can get to the different categories covered under the topic of user experience. Obviously, for the purposes of this unit, we're interested in Fiori. And so when you click on the Fiori link, you'd see this page, which is more details on the Fiori packages and a little explanation for each, and then with direct links to each package. And finally, the links that I showed in the PowerPoint that you'll have for reference after this session are going to take you directly to each landing page for each specific user experience package. So for example, this is the landing page for the SAP Fiori Infrastructure Rapid Deployment Solution. And they each have a similar look and feel, so the navigation across each of them is really the same. So you'll get a little blurb about what the package is about. In this case, we're talking about refreshing the look and feel of Business Suite applications that run on Business Suite powered by SAP HANA. And you have 3 links underneath the initial description. The package fact sheet, which let me show you what that looks like, gives you an overview of the key benefits, the solution scope, and what's included, and also gives you a run-through of all the software used that you should be aware of that's part of the package deployment. The other links, you have a customer presentation, which gives you more details in a PowerPoint view of what you can expect as the outcome and deliverables as part of the best practices. And then there's a link to Experience SAP Fiori, which takes you to the SAP Fiori product page, which is where you can get the latest information about the product itself. So under the Include section, if you scroll down, these are kind of the components that make up each of the packages. So we have it sort of sliced and diced into key topic areas that sometimes we refer to as scope items or building blocks. So you can see here, you'd start with installation and configuration of common components and move to preparing the landscape for Fiori applications. Then there's a Fiori network and security configuration guide, and so on and so forth. And you can see you can expand or collapse all and also use these blue arrows on the side. And this shows you a description of each of these components of the package. And even more to the point, you can click on the configuration guide link and get a preview of the content that is included in that component of the package. So here is the installation and configuration of common components of SAP Fiori. And it's all of the rapid deployment solutions follow the same format. So you have a table of contents that explains what what's covered in the document. In this case, an overview of the different landscapes for the different app types, and then post-installation topics. And then you scroll through and very prescriptively, step by step, with images and diagrams and the corresponding guided text. It's explained to you exactly what order and in what way you should install each of the components for this part of the rapid deployment solution. And then last but not least, the most important point, scroll down further on the page. I'm going to collapse all here. You'll see this big orange button, and this is probably what you want to get to as quickly as possible if you're interested in jumping in. If you click on the Download All button, it takes you through a download wizard, and it basically downloads all of the content that you'd see through this preview mode on the screen, plus even more. So it's the full comprehensive set of best practices that then you have in an offline format. It's in a zip file. You unzip, and then you have all of these documents that you can use for reference. So with that, thank you for joining me for Unit 5. And stay tuned for Unit 6, which is going to provide some exercises for you to familiarize yourself with Fiori UX. And good luck with the rest of the course. Thanks for joining.